Welcome to the Relationship Recovery Podcast, hosted by Jessica Knight, a certified life coach who specializes in narcissistic and emotional abuse. This podcast is intended to help you identify manipulative and abusive behavior, set boundaries with yourself and others, and heal the relationship with yourself so you can learn to love in a healthy way.
On today's podcast, I have an amazing episode about the mind of the narcissist with Lee Hammock, who you probably know from TikTok, YouTube, Instagram as MentalHealness. This conversation talks about so many different aspects of narcissism, especially some of the common questions that I see come up with my individual clients. We also get into a larger conversation about the danger of narcissistic abuse and what happens. And this is something that I have not covered in my podcast before, but I think is really important. And it's really important to acknowledge how dangerous and abusive things can become. This is a really amazing episode. I would absolutely love to hear what you think. And I certainly recommend following Lee, and all his links are going to be in the show notes below. All right. So, well, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to talk to you. And so you identify yourself as the Self Aware Narcissist.
One of the original Self-Aware
One of the
Narcissists.
original.
There's some other ones popping up nowadays, but like I said, I'm one of the first ones. I'm not the first Self-Aware Narcissist in the world, but just the one who started, the TikTok.
The one who started talking about it. Yeah. I know from being in relationships with narcissists, but also from this work that a lot of narcissists won't even ever understand that they have a problem or that there is something going on. How did you become aware and aware enough that you wanted to actually make a change?
So me personally, I've always kind of been aware of who I am for a very, very long time, even since my childhood. I've always kind of just felt, lack of a better word, kind of felt out of place the entirety of my youth for some reason. Just I could never put a name to it or anything like that. So I didn't know exactly what it was. I was just always just felt different. So kind of growing up, it just kept going until adulthood. Just the feeling of difference doesn't just go away. So growing up, I just still, just wonder what was different about me, how I felt different, why I didn't feel connected to people just like that, So
can you tell me what different felt like? Like, did you just feel like you weren't did you not care about people? Like when people had emotion, did you not feel anything? Like, what did that look like?
So I cared about people to a certain extent, as long as, even from youth, I cared about people as long as they had a benefit to me in my life, I say different. The best way for me to describe it is just I felt like an alien,
Yeah.
Alien in human skin. I looked like y'all. I'm just not like y'all, at the same time, But yeah, I care about people, but the lack of empathy has been kind of there for a very, very long time. Just like people hurt themselves around me. And I always thought about how it affected me in a negative way. Like a little boy fell off of a play set beside me one day. I'm pretty sure he broke his wrist. That was 8 or 9 years old. And I just remember him just crying, and I'm just angry because everybody had to go inside because he hurt his wrist. Just take him inside. Like that,
Yeah.
Man,
why do we all have to get out of recess?
Yeah,
That's exactly what my daughter would say.
Yeah. I just remember that and just being angry. This is just super mad, super angry, almost inconsolably angry. But just taking that into adulthood, same thing, the same situations applying to adulthood. Just felt out of place and different, just not connected to people and stuff like that. I had connections, I had relationships, but it just always didn't feel. It just felt like everybody in my life had to serve a purpose. There was just no platonic friend. Hey, you my friend. It was, you had to serve a purpose in my life. We had to work together and be cool at work. If you work together, you had to be a good conversation partner and things like that. Whatever it was, But just finding out about narcissism, it just occurred when I was about so I'm 37 years old now. So it's about when I was 31 years old. Me and my wife got into an argument, and she screamed at me, and before she left, and she called me a narcissist. She said, it's so damn hard living with a narcissist. I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Narcissists, just in my day, just narcissists to me back then, as in 2017, it was just conceited, cocky people, just cocky, conceited people or whatever, people who just were full of themselves. So I was just okay, cool. I can't help, of course I'm throwing insults back. I can't help how I look, just
yeah.
And then she left. So I was just like, of course I call her a narcissist too, but
I
then
was
she
just
left.
going to ask you that. Like, did you
Yeah.
respond, no, you're the narcissist?
No, I was like, narcissist. You're a narcissist.
Yeah.
She left. This is before I even knew it was a personality disorder. So when she left, I was stewing, angry, sitting in the house. And she was like, why the hell she called me this? All the insults she could have hurled at me. She threw this word at me. She threw this N word at me, So I'm just like, I get on my phone, I Google narcissist. You know how, Google autofills gives you suggestions. I put in narcissist in Google and it's just like, did you mean narcissistic personality disorder? I was like, wait, I didn't mean that, but, just let's dance, So I get on there and I do the deep dive into narcissism, the personality disorder, and the traits and the signs and symptoms. And I was just like, wow, this is me. I'm just like, wow, this is actually me. This makes sense as to what I've been doing the entirety of my life. It makes sense now because of all this, because of everything that's been going on. Like this absolutely makes sense to me. And it's just kind of like provided that clarity as to why I behaved and felt, I wasn't an alien. I was a human. I was just disordered. Like, who, I remember telling my wife, I was like, yeah, I am a narcissist. When she's like, wow, you said that? You are? Like, yeah, I see it. It makes sense. I'm just not a narcissist. I have a personality disorder. I see this. I agree with it. I'm not pushing back on you. I didn't ask her that she still had those messages. Because she's like one of the women that say like literally every single thing.
Yeah.
She put out something from 2018 the other day to correct me.
Yeah.
Like, nope, this is what you did. I'm like, wait.
Well, that's what she had to do to learn to be with you, because she probably would have said like, no, I didn't say it.
I
like,
did not until she showed me. I was like, well, I guess I did say it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I need to ask her because she showed me something from 2018. This happened in 2017. So I don't know if she switched phones or Apple deleted it or whatever. Because she showed me the other day that I sent her a screenshot of one of that little online narcissist test. I was like, I'm gonna take this test and be honest with it. And I sent it to her. It's like 36 or 38 out of 40, something like that. I was like, woof. I was like, yikes. Like, I'm going to work on it though. That's all you can do. There's no cure. You look online, there's no cure for it or whatever. And then I didn't even know about, the social media. So I didn't know about narcissistic abuse or none of that stuff. I was just trying to raise awareness for the personality disorder to get men into therapy, and then just kind of manifest it into what it is. It's kind of ballooned into what it's ballooned into right now,
It sounds like you were pretty open to see it though, and I think that for the people that I've been with, like they've definitely, it's almost like it bounces off to them. Like, and I've never said like, you're a narcissist, you should deal with this. I've said like this is abuse, and like, this is what I'm seeing and this is what's going on. And then they're like, no, it's not. You're the abuser. What helped you, I guess, be open to that, open to looking inside of yourself? Were you already like in a personal development phase? Were you looking at yourself, or was it her leaving? Like, what helped that?
So her leaving was one of the, I think when people see me still married and in my relationship to the same person, they think it was all her or mostly her, or she was like the mitigating factor for me to become this. Now, So even before I met her, I had already been doing a lot of personal development. I've been doing personal development for about, like I said, at that point in time, since I was 20 years old. So I've been doing Tony Robbins and Les Brown and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn. I had been doing all of that stuff since I was 21 years old. So I already had a decade of doing that stuff, like reading and trying to do personal development, Think and Grow Rich. I was already doing that stuff for a very long time. So I was already into, morphing my mind and being accepting of change and growth and stuff like that. So when narcissism was presented to me, it was just like, this is just another growth opportunity, like, let me defeat this.
Yeah.
That sounds silly, but either I'm going to defeat narcissistic personality disorder or I'm going to become the world's best narcissist. It's like one way or the other. And this is me, and this is me in 2017, 2018. This is what I was saying to myself, to my therapist. I was like, either I'm going to defeat this, which I don't think she agreed. She knew I was going to defeat it, or I'm going to be the world's best narcissist. Like, and she told me, she's like, you know how delusional that sounds? I'm like, yeah, isn't that part of narcissism? Delusion,
You're like, I'm going to be the narcissist that ends narcissism.
Yeah, I'm going to be like the savior of narcissists or whatever, but I was already open to receiving that, and going to therapy and stuff like that, because I had already been working on myself for 10 years previously. So I had already been doing personal development. So, Tony Robbins and all that stuff, all that good stuff, that's personal development that's catered towards the mass audiences. Everybody can get something from Tony Robbins. But I feel like therapy for me is just personal development that's catered towards me. My therapist is like my own personal, Tanya Robbins, she's a woman. So she's, she caters stuff towards me and helping me personally, so that's why I'm so open to receiving it. I think a lot of people, even the younger, self-aware narcissists around her that are popping up or whatever, And they have been on this kind of journey of kind of figure out who they are as well, like growth and stuff like that. So I feel like that helps.
Yeah.
I feel like you also feel like this is not me being braggadocious. I feel like you have to have a certain level of intellect to be self-aware and to absorb who you are and to fight against your own tactics and behaviors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like you can't be stupid and be a self-aware narcissist. I just feel like that makes you worse. Oh, I'm a narcissist. I'm going to be worse, So I just feel like that helps out a lot as well. I'm not the smartest person, but, I'm not stupid.
Yeah. And also, what I hear from you too is like, there's a part of you that like saw it almost as a challenge. It sounds like that, like, oh, if I'm this, I'm going to figure it out. And it's like you said, I'm either going to be the best narcissist out there or I'm going to defeat it.
Yeah.
Were you already in therapy when you figured that out? Like, did you go to your therapist and say, I looked online and I think I have this? Or did you see it and then decide to go into therapy to explore it?
I can read you my first email to my therapist. I sent on Psychology Today.
Oh, awesome.
I can scroll back because it's under therapy. I just put the word therapy in my Google and it pops up. So in October 11, 2017, it says, hi, just wanted to see about possible counseling. I'm 99.5% certain that I have narcissistic personality disorder. And since becoming aware of it, it's become almost unbearable. Constant inner battle every day is tiresome and exhausting. And that's the first thing I said to her. So I already knew I was a narcissist before I even went into therapy,
Yeah.
So I just tell people I already knew I was already open to being that. There was no pushback on me going, I'm not a narcissist. I went in there, I knew who I was. And I think there's people, and she said it. She was like, what makes you think you're a narcissist? Like, I know I am. It's just like, and I just started describing myself. She's like, okay, stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's enough. Okay. Anyway. Yeah.
So, okay, we'll get there. It's too much.
Do you remember what made it unbearable at that time to be inside your own head?
Be inside your own head and be aware of it. Because it's kind of like you go back in time and start looking at the stuff that I've done and realize that it was me, but it was also not me at the same time. It was like I was on autopilot. It was like I was a co-pilot. I was there. I was conscious of the stuff that I was doing, but it's like I wasn't in control of it. I was there. I was consciously making those decisions, but it's kind of like, something was guiding me to do that. It's kind of like if you look at it from the like a ghost, like if you like, some people can see stuff, see spirits, like there's a spirit like over my back, like treating me like a puppet, that type of stuff right there. And it would become almost unbearable because it just felt like I was doing some bad stuff, and just to see me doing it from a different perspective is kind of like, it was horrible at the same time. But then my mind would automatically start to readjust and fight back against those thoughts. And be like, no, it was their fault. They did this. They deserved what you did to them. I was like, oh, goodness, So it's just like, it was unbearable, just like existing at the same time. It's just like the narcissistic part of me has always been there, but it's kind of been in the background controlling things. Whereas my own conscious present self am also there. But now I acknowledge the narcissistic part exists. So it's just kind of like, but people say they hear voices. I don't hear a voice. It's my voice. It's me talking to me. It's just like, I don't hear, it's not a secret voice. It's not like a little girl voice or something like that, or some big boisterous man. It's actually me, talking to me. So it's just like nothing different. It's just me talking to me. It's like a super ego. It really is just me. It's this idealized version of me in my head that is making me do this type of stuff. And it doesn't always make me do bad stuff. I do good things as well. It's just like, do this right here. The super ego kind of guides me on social media. I'm shy and bashful. I don't like getting in front of the camera, and I don't like being in big groups of people and stuff like that. So the super ego kind of kicks in. It's just like, no, do this, it'll make you feel better. So it does that. So it's kind of like, for lack of a better word, I have to negotiate with myself,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like, I'm sure it's gotten like a bit easier over time. It's been years now at this point. And so, but do you still grapple with that almost every day?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Every single day. I tell people, like, I used to have this, but even before therapy and stuff like that. Like I said, I always know I was different. I went on my Facebook and I put a status on there. It's like almost a decade ago. It's just like, sometimes every day I wake up and battle my demons. Sometimes they win and sometimes I do. And I just put that because I was feeling that one day. I don't feel in control every day. Some days I don't feel like it's me running me, but I'm me. I always kind of known it has existed. When I start talking like that, people's like, well, Lee, that's the devil. He's guiding you. That's the Jezebel spirit. Yeah. I hear that a lot though. But that's the way it goes right there. So I'm like I said, me right now, I still struggle with it and battle with it now. Even now, so I feel like people would think it would be easier because I'm self-aware. Now I think it's harder.
Yeah.
I think it's harder now because when I was just coming up on social media, because like this social media stuff has only been I started my TikTok in May of 2020. So I'm 37 years old. So I had 35 previous years of just being me and existing kind of like, I was not big in my own area. I was a pretty successful real estate agent. You know, people in my office knew me. People in that sector knew who I was. But now it's just kind of like, I like to kind of move. I'm the type of person like more covert sometimes. I like to kind of move in silence, but I kind of like to do big things in silence, but I can't do that anymore. So it's just like everything I do is big in his own line or whatever now, what it seems. So it's a struggle sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think I really resonate that just like with that on a personal level. Like I definitely somebody who like I process all these things inside, and like I need a lot of alone time to like regulate myself. And when I don't have that, and like you're in front of a lot of people all the time in different capacities. So just like piggyback off that, one of the things that I think is a very clear message in a lot of your videos is that a narcissist is not going to change. And I'm sure some people like watch your videos and they feel a little conflicted because they're like, well, he changed, but that's still your message. Right. And so, and I think that's my message too. Why does a narcissist not change?
And so, because when I tell people like they see my message and it's conflicting because I exist, I tell people I have like at my core, I'm still the same exact person. My behaviors, I exhibited have been altered because I've been working on myself for X amount of years. It was almost 2 decades now, but personalized therapy for 5 years. So I tell people in that situation, that's typically how I've been doing it. So I don't think narcissistic people can change who we are at our core, but can the behaviors be altered with a lot of help? Yeah, I just feel like that's who I am right now. Like I said, I don't say that out loud to people because people I say like, yeah, narcissists can change. How many people's lives would that ruin if I said that? You know what I mean? If I just came out and like, you know what? I ain't changed. Narcissists can change too. How many people's lives like, I was on the way out. But Lee Hammock, the Self Aware Narcissist, said he changed. So I'm gonna give this abusive, toxic ass person one more chance. And they end up losing their life or something like that because I said it online. But I because when I don't, because I try to lead through my actions. Like you see how I got to this point was through my therapy, was through me working on myself. And a lot of other people see that. A lot of other narcissists see that and see me doing that. And they think I'm attacking narcissists. Like first of all, they don't bother me. It's just like, but they just don't understand the dynamics of what I'm doing. Like, hey guys, narcissists can change. How many people like Lee, you're just turning your back on narcissists. You say you want to help narcissist people. I help a lot of narcissists. I do talk to narcissist people all the time, like literally.
Yeah.
I get a slew of messages from narcissist people just like, you know what? I didn't realize I was toxic until I saw those videos, But I do get a lot of hate from other narcissistic people that just think I'm out here just spreading misinformation and somehow adding to the stigma that exists that all narcissists are horrible people. It's like, how do I do that? I know I do my skits and stuff like that to draw toxic behaviors, but my existence shows you that if you go to work on yourself, you can live a better, more healthier life. You know what I mean? But people don't see that. Of course, narcissists don't see that because they only see things in black and white. They don't think outside the box because I just feel like some of them are just kind of unevolved to the point where they see that.
Yeah.
I've made 10,000 videos online. Have you ever made me make one video attacking any narcissistic creator on there ever? They talk joke about me. I don't make videos about them. I'm just like, cool, I understand what you're coming from. Do I like it? No, it gets on my nerves. But again, I understand my message is not going to, it reaches the people it's supposed to reach.
Right.
If you see my message and the first thing you do is get angry, you're not who it's supposed to reach. You know what I mean? If anger is your response to me, you're the person whose feelings are supposed to be hurt by my message, to resonate with you, to go get you some help.
Yeah.
If you see my stuff and you're like, damn, it hurt my feelings. It hurt me a little bit. Because how do you get people to change their behaviors? Okay, guys, go be nice to the narcissist that's treating you horribly. Be nice to them. See what happens. Like, are they going to change because you're being nice to them? No. Are they going to change their behaviors because you're coddling them? Hell, no. Why would they? Now you're becoming an enabler. Hey, you're a narcissist. I'm going to love you through it regardless. You don't need to go get help. I love you. You can get help if you want to. I'm going to love you through it. No, it doesn't work that way. So I understand the dynamic. What caused me to get to what point where I'm at right now? Rock bottom, pain, hurt. It wasn't pleasure. If you're getting pleasure, why would you change your situation when you're getting pleasure?
Did your wife leave for a while? Like, did you have like that?
She left a couple of times. I tell my story. I think people think she only left once. She's left a couple of times, But she left in 2017, and that's when I started going to therapy. So I joined some Self Aware Narcissist Facebook groups when she left, when she came back in 2017. But I think she left again, maybe 2019, 2018, 2019. But then she left for good in like March of 2020. And I've been in therapy the whole time. That's what I tell people, like, therapy is not the end. I've been in therapy for 5 years. She's left twice since that time. You know what I mean? So I was just like, it's not the end all be all. It just can help curb some of the behaviors, but it's still there. The behaviors are still there. You just try to curb them and work on them.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I really appreciate you being so open about it, because it just shows like how much work that you do and like how much work anyone would have to do to actually overcome this. Right. And a lot of people are not willing to do that. Like
No.
you have that willingness. You have that willingness, and you also have like the humility to like look inside and say, I don't like what I see inside, so I'm going to stay here. But I think a lot of narcissists would just say, nope, that's not happening.
So I still don't like what I see inside right now, being honest, being fully honest with you. But it's still, it still makes me go forward. It gives me something to look forward to, because a lot of people ask me, like, do you want to be cured? Do you think you can get rid of it? I just feel like if I set a goal to be cured and rid of narcissistic personality disorder, that would be a debilitating goal, because I don't think it can be done. There was like, I'm never going to get cured, so I'm going to be paying my whole life. No, I just want to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's enough. For a lot of people, they look for, like do a narcissist test. They look for zero presence of narcissism, like it's a blood test or something like that. Just like, cut your finger and bleed onto the slide right here. Let me look under the microscope. No narcissist genes detected. You're cured. Lee.
Yeah.
No, it don't work that way.
Lee, you're a twin, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Does your twin have NPD?
No. Mm-mm.
That's interesting. So
he has his own stuff going on. He has his own stuff going on, like mental stuff going on, but he's not a narcissist. You know what I mean?
Got it. That's interesting. So when you say no, like, I mean, this is your message, but this is also like everybody else's message. This is my message about the no contact. Like, what is the point of view from the narcissist? Like, what does the no contact do to you?
No contact is loss of control. It's loss of everything. No contact hurts. People ask me, I've done a few videos on no contact on my YouTube channel, but no contact hurts. It's painful, because now it's just like you go from all this to absence to no talking at all. It's just like, in a lot of narcissistic people's minds, when you go no contact with them, you're automatically trying to replace them, especially in intimate relationship. It's like, if you're not with me, then you automatically have to be with somebody else, because I know that's what I probably would do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basing my assumption on what I would do and how I would live my life. So I do that right there. And I tell people, I'm just like, yeah, it hurts narcissistic people when you go no contact, but like, your goal shouldn't be to hurt them. The goal should be to help you heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do a lot of videos entitled "How to Hurt a Narcissist," and people think I'm on there talking about, like, go to King Arthur's court and pull out Excalibur from the stone and stab him with it. No, I'm just like, you move on. You live your life the way you're supposed to live it, as safely as possible, because some people won't let you go that easy.
Yeah.
No contact seems easy. Just block them. Just block them. Just eliminate
so hard.
Yeah. Some people are dangerous. They'll pop up at your job, pop up at your house, and stuff like that. I talked to a woman today, which is why I went over. Why we got started late. And she, her person popped up at her house.
Yeah.
Recently, he left her for somebody else, and she went to try to go no contact, and he popped up at her house. Nobody went to the door. They saw him on the camera. Nobody went to the door, and then a couple of days later, he's in the hospital trying to unalive himself. And guess what? The first thing he did when he woke up from his unconsciousness, called her and told her, she's like, you know what? Why I did it? I told him I was going to do it to myself, because I went to my ex-girlfriend's house and the meeting didn't go the way I wanted to. So I just thought that was going to be it for me. I was like, that man lying. I was like, that's how horribly evil that person is.
I had a very similar thing happen, actually.
Yeah. Just to use that to make you feel like you are responsible for keeping him alive now. And I was just like, that's so evil. And do people fall for it? Yeah, people fall for it all the time, because they don't understand the dynamics of emotional manipulation that you love and care about. And it's easy for me to say this on this side of it, because I'm the person. I wouldn't do that personally, but like, I'm the person who would be doing that. Just like, you know what? My life is over. I'm going to go do it. But I also seen another story very recently. I'm going to do a video on this. Probably won't be today. Probably tomorrow, where a man was threatening to do that to himself. Sent a video of himself wrapping a belt around his own neck to his girlfriend, because she didn't want to talk to you with no contact. And guess what ended up happening to her a couple weeks ago? He found her in Food Line's parking lot, and he took a knife and ended her existence in front of her.
Wow.
Kids. So people are crazy as hell. So go no contact. Don't just go no contact. Go no contact with safety, and like, when you are done, be done. Stop going back and forth to these people, because the more and more you go back, the more dangerous they become, the more obsessive they can become. It doesn't take a while to become obsessed with you, but like, the more and more you do the back and forth game, the more obsessive people can become. And when they become obsessed with you, they think you belong to them, and they will take you off this planet.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that you say that because I had a conversation about no contact with a client this week. And it was like you said, like focus on like, we're keeping her safe, keeping her regulated, keeping
Yes.
her, and they were on opposite coasts actually. And he was planning on coming to like the coast that she's on. And I was like, no, like you don't start contact. Like what you do is you plan to call the police if he actually shows up at your apartment. Like you live in an apartment, you don't have to let him in. He shows up, you need to be prepared. And that's what we talked about because I was like, this is just, if he's going to go that far to fly across country, we need to be prepared. It doesn't mean open contact with him. This isn't an act of love.
That's the
Cheated
exact
on you
opposite
9
of what you need to be
times.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the exact opposite of what you need to be doing. I'm just telling people, like, the more you go back and forth to narcissistic, toxic people, whatever label you want to apply to them, the more dangerous they can become. I promise you, because the more ownership contingent they think they can become. Like I said, I just talked, I've been doing this, my coaching thing for about, it'll be 2 years in like April.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to thousands of people and some of them don't make it.
Yeah.
I hear these stories. A woman messaged me on Facebook, and I was meant to see this message. I have an autoresponder on my Facebook. I get a lot of messages.
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to be on Facebook, and that message came through. I was like, oh. She was like, hey, Lee, I don't even follow you. My friend did. And she said she was in your live very recently, like a couple weeks ago, whatever. I do a lot of lives. She's like, she asked you a question in your live and you responded to her. She told you her situation and you responded to her. And you said, yeah, your husband or whoever is extremely dangerous. And you keep messing with this. You keep going back and forth with this person. He's going to probably send you to meet God. You know how I say it. And she messaged me. Like, yeah. She went to meet God early. So when they investigated, now they don't know if he did it or what happened to her, but like she passed away abruptly.
Yeah.
And they're investigating. So I just tell people, just like, it's a dangerous game to play this. And I know people tell me, it's like, but I love them so much. I'm like, love is not enough, y'all. I know the trauma bond exists. I know this codependency stuff exists. I understand this dynamic, but love is not worth your life. I promise you. It's just not. The toxicity is not worth it. I understand some people can get addicted to the toxicity. Some people like the back and forth stuff. I just tell people, it's just way more serious because your life is on the line. It's just not your heart. It's your actual life or just on the line with this back and forth a lot of times. I don't think they'll hurt me. What I've learned, one of the main lessons I've learned from doing this so long now is just like, I don't put anything past anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll hurt me. Now they on jail for taking your life. Now they on trial for taking your life. I don't put anything past anyone. Protect yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I know mental abuse is so hard for people that haven't experienced it to like actually understand that it's real and like how damaging it could be.
Yes.
But that obviously happens like before it gets physical, like 99% probably of the time. And I remember I had one partner, he would throw things next to me, but not at me. Yep. And that was like one of those things that I was like, no. Cause like
he was throwing it at you.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No, he was throwing it at you. Like if he wanted to send another message, he just threw it behind him. He just slammed something in the floor.
Right.
If they throw it in your direction, they're just trying to intimidate you even more.
Exactly.
It could have been you.
Yeah, exactly. From the narcissistic abuse standpoint, why do you think that the hoovering happens and like the situations like this happen? Like the first example you gave me, this guy like left the girl for another woman, right? Mm-hmm. And then he's like back at the house trying to get in. What causes that? Like, why do they do that?
Because in her specific example, because I follow her on Instagram, I see her posting her happiness and her growth because she had stopped posting on Instagram like for a while, but now she's posting the Instagram videos. Like she's like a professional dancer. She's kind of dancing, kind of provocatively, just being experienced, just being free. Yeah. And all of a sudden, a day after that video goes up, he's at her house. Sometimes they just don't want. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes they think you belong to them. No, it's just not narcissists that do that. But it's just toxic people in general. They think you belong to them.
Yeah.
So they don't want to see you with anybody else. Even if they have somebody else, they don't want to see you with anybody else. I like to use most people have seen Toy Story. The Toy Story analogy, like Woody and Buzz, and in this situation, Andy's the narcissist. Like little boy Andy's the narcissist. Woody is his main supply, his main source.
Yeah.
He loves Woody to death. But guess what? The new supply comes in the picture, Buzz Lightyear. He doesn't get rid of Woody. He puts Woody in a toy chest. So nobody else can play with Woody. But he's playing with Buzz. Buzz is shiny and new. So, but if anybody tries to mess with Woody, Andy jumps on there. You see what I'm saying? Andy's sister comes in to try to mess with Woody. No, leave Woody alone. Nobody else can play with it. You see what I'm saying? Same dynamic applies with a lot of narcissistic people. That you're still mine, no matter what. I don't care if I have Buzz Lightyear. My name is on Woody's foot. So that type of dynamic right there. They think you belong to them, so they don't want to see you go over anybody else. And so a lot of times they think they love you. but it becomes this weird obsession, you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
this
that was
weird.
actually one of my questions. So I'd like you to unpack that a bit of like, do they actually love you?
So truly, I do believe that some narcissistic people will have the capability of loving you. That's just my perspective. A lot of people push back on that. Lee, you lost me there. Nope, they're demons. You can't love, no heart. You can't love without a heart. Like, I get that a lot. Tin Man. The Tin Man from
Yeah.
from the Wizard of Oz. But I just like me personally, just from my own experience, like I have every person I've love bombed, I thought I was in love with. That was my person. I feel like that was the person I wanted to be with, like my other part,
Hmm.
biblically, I'm Adam, they're Eve. They're my rib. They were made for me. That type of stuff right there. So that's why I was giving them all this stuff. I was love bombing them, because I thought this is the perfect person for me.
Hmm.
And sooner or later, what happens when you're dealing with a lot of narcissistic people, that this idealized image, this perfect image they have of you, somehow it gets shattered. And then the love is kind of taken away. It's like the love becomes extremely, extremely conditional
Yeah.
because they view you differently. They try to treat you differently as well because they view you differently. It's like you lied to me about who you were, but you didn't lie to me unless you actually lied to me. But you didn't lie to me about who you were. I created this image of you in my head that I thought was perfect that you can never live up to. A lot of people ask me like, how can I extend this time period, the love bombing period? Like you can extend it, but it's just for me. I just feel like there's an emotional expiration date on most relationships with narcissistic people. Like
Hmm.
sooner or later, the emotional part of it is going to expire. Maybe not the physical part. They might still stay with you, but they might get rid of you emotionally, but they don't get rid of you physically. So a
Yeah.
lot of times they do that. So once that idealized image, this love bombing image they have of you gets shattered for whatever reason, you can tell them something about your past. You can gain a little weight. You can lose a little weight. You can cut your hair, something. You can say something smart to them. You can set a boundary, whatever it is that sets it off. It sets it off. It's like a mirror being shattered. And then like the mirror, not only does the mirror shatter, it cuts that narcissistic person. So then they want vengeance on you. So then they treat you badly because they feel like you lied to them.
So I guess in the same way that in that love bombing phase, like we also make an idea of who they are and almost make it up in our heads. Like,
Yes.
I've definitely been like I've spent so many relationships trying to get back to that 3-month period of like
Yes.
at the beginning it was this and it was this and it was
Yeah.
this, right?
Three
When
months.
like you
Three
made all
months.
these like
Perfect.
yeah. So yeah, like yeah, the world was perfect, you were perfect, like
No.
but so you're saying that they kind of do that for to us too.
Mm-hmm. The same thing happens. I think the same thing happens on the other side of the spectrum. On the other side of the dynamic, when you're dealing with a narcissistic person, they see you as this perfect person for us, but somehow it gets shattered, and we don't want to get it back. We are
Hmm.
angry. You want to get it back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm angry with you. I want to punish you for lying to me, for
Yeah.
misleading me. So I put all this time, effort, and energy into you, and you for what? And then because you're not who I thought you were.
In that case, like you would want me to be different.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you can't be different enough because now it's gone. The image has been shattered. You can't put it.
Right. There's more different. Like
Yeah.
it's every time I'm different, there's more different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you put a piece of shattered glass back together perfectly and make it look? I don't know
Yeah.
if that's possible. A mirror, can you repair this mirror? It's been broken into 1,000 pieces. I don't think you can repair that correctly. It's like a forever jigsaw puzzle that you'll never
Yeah.
complete. And I tell the people, you want to get it back. On the other side of the dynamic, you, the person dealing with the narcissistic person, you want to get it back. You know what I mean? Because that 3-month period was blissful. You want to
Yeah.
get it back. And you spend a lot of time trying to work to get it back, changing who you are, changing what you do, because this person has the potential to treat you good. I know it's in there. I just got to find how to get it back out. But you can't get it back out because now it's gone
Yeah.
because it works weird like that. And that 30 days, that 3 months, I think they actually did some studies where it says it takes about 90 days to actually get to know somebody for who they really are. So that 3-month period is kind of right in line with with how long it takes to actually get to know somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I forgot where I saw it, but I remember it might have been Mark Grove said something like, if someone is convinced they want to marry you after a week of knowing you,
Yeah,
that's how you know it's crazy. That's not
yeah,
enough time, to
yeah,
understand anything. Like you may think this sounds like love, but
yeah.
that's not
But
what this
there's
is.
always going to be somebody in the comment section or something like that, just like, well, we got married and when we're still together, 10 years
Yeah.
strong, 3 kids. I'm so happy, just like, and people see that one comment like, girl, you do you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exception, not the rule.
Right.
People make it feel like they are the rule. Like, well, I got married in 1 weekend. I didn't feel great. It's just kind of wild. It just
Yeah.
blows my mind sometimes, but that's how it goes.
I often hear people say, well, they say to me that they want to revenge the narcissist. Like they want to get them back. They want them to hurt. And, obviously like my job as a coach is to help them see what's going on for them and not like what that is. But I hear it so often. So I was wondering what you thought about that concept, like revenge on the narcissist. Obviously, from what we've talked about so far, we know that that's not a thing.
For me, it is a thing though,
Yeah.
but it has nothing to do with the narcissist. It has everything to do with you. So it ties into what you said, what you tell your people.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with the narcissist. It has everything to do with you living your life to the fullest extent possible. Because typically, when you get into these relationships with toxic people, you end up sacrificing a lot. You might drop out of school. You might move here. You might do this. You might do that. So you end up they can't tell you. They tell you can't do this. You can't go with your friends. You can't go back to school. You can't do this. You got to do. There's a lot of restrictions placed on you. The way you get vengeance on this person is to just live outside those restrictions. Live your life to the fullest extent. Like how to hurt a narcissist, how to get vengeance on a narcissist. The same thing. Live your life to the fullest extent while simultaneously blocking them and going no contact.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it. And a lot of people are just like, I don't want to hurt them. I'm an empath. I don't want to hurt them. Like, it ain't about hurting them. It's about you growing. Your growth would inevitably hurt that person in a certain type of way. I don't want to cause them pain. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't want to seek vengeance, and I understand that dynamic. But the best way to do it is like living well is the best revenge. I've seen that pop. I've seen that status before, and that's absolutely true. Like living well is absolutely the best revenge. Well, Lee, I see them living. They're living so great with the new supply. I don't know what to do. And just like turn off the narcissist TV. I call it the narcissist boob tube. Turn it off. Flip the TV off. Stop watching it. I'm pretty sure people were watching your relationship thinking you had a good life. You know what I mean? Thinking y'all were just perfect together.
Oh, totally. Yeah. People are like, oh my God, you had the best relationship. And I'm like, oh, did I? Yeah.
Yeah. Optics from the outside looking in is different than the inside looking out.
Yeah.
Optics mean a lot to people. So to tell people, it's just like, if you're not watching it can't hurt you if you're not watching it. Yeah, it'll be in your mind. It'll be in the back of your mind. I wonder what they're doing right now. You know what I mean? But I understand the dynamic. When you look at that type of stuff, sometimes you just re-traumatizing yourself, hurting yourself, Just got engaged. No, you hurt yourself,
Yeah. Well, so you touched on the narcissistic supply, and that was a question I wanted to ask, like the new supply, right? So often people will leave, or a narcissist will leave someone, and then there is somebody else, or like that. And then the way that it's worded to me for my clients is like, oh, what if I went through all the pain and now they're going to be somebody different? And like, I know from my history that that's not true. I've seen like this happen, but why is that actually not true? Like, why are they not like immediately changed for this new supply?
So I would say perspective wise, they do immediately change, but it's not the change that you think it is. They immediately change to mirror and copy the new person to fit that new person. Just like they changed their tactics and dynamics to be with you, they're changing their tactics and dynamics to be with the other person, to be with the new supply. I'm changing myself to be with this new person. You know what I mean? Because when I left, I ended up leaving my son's mom. My current wife I'm married to now was my new supply. You know what I mean? So it's funny how that works out. But my son's mom is a black woman. My wife is a white woman. So it's just kind of like they are opposite in so many different ways. It's crazy. So I'm morphing into this other person. I'm listening to country music. I'm doing all this other stuff. Luke Bryan, my favorite artist right now. I was listening to Usher. I was from Usher to Luke Bryan. So you see how the dynamic works. I just become somebody different. I'm still the same person. I haven't changed in that aspect. In my core, like I said, the roots are still the same. The tree, the leaves change like the seasons. The leaves are green, but when fall comes, they change colors. Same thing. It's still the same tree. The roots are still the same. It's still in the same ground. Nothing the tree didn't pick its roots up, and this is not Lord of the Rings with the Entmoot where the trees are walking around fighting. They are still here. The roots are still planted the same. It's just like the leaves have changed. It's still the same person.
Yeah.
They just express the traits externally differently to fit the next person. So it does look different. They do look like a changed person. Why wouldn't they? You are not the same as you are, unless y'all are twins and have the same genetic components and same likes and dislikes. The new person is going to be different than you are. So they're going to change to fit the new person. I'll tell one of my friends said her dude was a couch surfer. He was just like laying on the couch or whatever. And the person he left for was an avid hiker. Now he out there running up mountains and stuff like that, with on cloud running shoes and stuff, and tank tops. So now he's playing the guitar and all kinds of stuff. Like he picked up different stuff because she likes going to country bar. Like I said, they're going to pick up the qualities and traits of the next person. And it's going to look different to you because now you don't recognize the person. The vessel is still the same, but the vessel is still there. It's just hard watching somebody, you don't know them anymore, but the vessel is still the same. It's just the inner workings are kind of switched up a little bit.
So it's interesting because I think that if that friend of yours was a client of mine, they would say, why are they doing it for them and not for me?
because near the end, like I said, it was, you feel like you lied to me. Man, it goes back to the whole devaluation part or the idolization ends. I feel like you lied to me about who you were, so I'm not going to give you what you want anymore. Why would I do that?
Okay. So from love bombing, when it goes to idealization and then the devaluing, it's
The
like
love bombing and idealization are kind of the same stage.
Okay.
Once that ends, you go to devaluation, where they start to take it away from everything. You know, the love bombing stops and ends and stuff like that. And then the discard happens or whatever. You know, so the evaluation phase, they're not going to give you everything you want to need. But if they're love bombing someone else, they're going to give the person what they want to need. Typically, it's what you wanted and needed because they know it works on people. You know, maybe y'all have the same interest. Oh, you like the same type of car? Oh, the same dog name, the same pets, the same, restaurants, whatever, doing everything that you ever asked for. So I just feel like, I tell this to people now, if you feel like you're begging someone to give you stuff, it might be time for you to dip out because it's going to hurt when they do it for the next person. Because sometimes they give it to the next person because they live their lives like you are watching them. So they're trying to intentionally hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're watching me, so I'm going to hurt your damn feelings. So they do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Y'all, sometimes you reach out and go, why did you do this for her and you didn't do it for me? It's like, well, you didn't deserve it. I'm doing it because I'm doing it for them because they deserve it. They didn't lie to me about who they were, blah, blah, blah. This dynamic.
Why the discard? So, you touched on like the cycle of narcissistic abuse. But so when the discard happens, why does it always happen in that way where it needs to be like somebody needs to be discarded? And it's always, obviously, it's always painful, but it's never like a healthy breakup.
Yeah, it's never a healthy breakup and things like that. Once they get done with you, they're just done with you. Like I said, what I was saying earlier, to me, there's not just one type of discard. There's two different discards. They both can happen, but like the emotional discard comes before the physical discard. The physical discard might not ever come. They might not ever get rid of you. You might be with this person, but they have emotionally just logged out of the relationship. Y'all go from lovers to roommates. You know what I mean? But y'all still there in the same household, still living together, still coexisting, co-parenting, whatever dynamic you have. Y'all are still doing this together, but there's no intimacy. Y'all just like literally just roommates. Like, hey, what's the schedule today? Boom, boom, boom. I'll get the kids. You get the kids, blah, blah, blah. But they don't, because once they image of you shatters, they feel like they have no more use for you. Why would I, it's just kind of like, I don't want to see you with anybody else. I might keep you around, but it's just like the emotions are gone. I resent you now. That type of stuff happens,
Yeah. I mean, and that definitely was my experience too. It was like he emotionally checked out like months before and I kept trying to get it back. Like, oh, let's talk. Let's go to couples therapy. Let's do this. Let's do that. We'd be in couples therapy and the therapist would be like, what's going on? Like it seems like something's off. And I'll be like, I definitely feel off right now. Like and then he'd be like, no, I'm fine. Perfectly fine. Get off the call. And it's like a 3-hour discussion about what I shouldn't have brought up in couples therapy, and it's like,
you embarrassed him.
Yeah.
You shamed him.
Exactly. God forbid. So I know that we're like almost at time. One of the questions that I wanted to make sure that I covered was, does a narcissist really think that they are the victim?
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times they do feel like they're the victim of like self-aware narcissist is different. I know a lot of times I'm not the victim. I cannot paint myself as, because I can, so literally I can paint myself the victim of any circumstance. I can do that right now. It's like, this happened because of this. It's not really my fault. I talked to a guy a few minutes ago. I'm pretty sure he's a narcissist. He just swore up and down that his wife was. I was just like, bruh, do you know how this sounds, right? Dude cheated on his wife with her best friend, who his best friends with her husband. Is like somehow his wife made him do it. She's like, she took love away from me, and now I'm sleeping with her best friend, and I'm gonna leave. So I'm like, he's a victim. You see what I'm saying? People play the victim in circumstances. Like, I'm sleeping with her best friend. Her husband was my best friend, so we were all couples friends, and we're going behind each other's back. I was like, but it's her fault. I was like, okay. You see what I'm saying? That way.
Yeah.
The way
and did you actually tell him? Like, were you like?
I didn't tell him straight up. I was just leading him down the rabbit hole. I was like, you see how that sounds like you? They can paint the picture of you being a narcissist in this situation because you could have slept with anybody else other than her best friend.
Right.
It's been going on for years, a couple of years. This is not just like, you didn't just make, it wasn't one time thing. Y'all were literally dating behind each other's back. Like, you knew you were doing wrong, but he blamed her. And just like, it was pretty horrible. But it was kind of wild. But they can play a victim of the circumstances they create. I did it because of her, and I was like, well, be prepared for if she wants to post this online, you're going to look like a narcissist. I'm just telling you straight up. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you think they do think that they're the victim?
Yeah. He literally believed that he was the victim. He had convinced himself that he was the victim in that circumstance. Like a lot of times they will. They will just repeat it to themselves over and over again till they believe it. Just like, I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I did this because of her. I did this because of her. I did this because of her. I did it because of her. I did it because of her. I did. I did do it because of her. So you convince yourself of it. Yeah, you could. And he's adamant. I thought the women in that same situation too, who I talked to that think their boyfriend or husband is a narcissist, and they just like, yeah, I've cheated 4 times, and every time he pushes me to the arms of another man, he finds out, and I just cry. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, so he what? 4 times? So he took you back? She's like, yeah, he loves me so much, and he feels bad for doing what he did to me to make me cheat 4 times. Like, what? Whoa. He feels bad? Yeah, because I cried, and I thought I was gonna kill myself. I'm like, okay. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you see, it's not always cheating, but it's always some kind of dynamic that goes on with the situation. There's always something behind the scenes. You know what I mean? It's just like the shame that would come along with taking accountability hurts so bad. It's easier for them to play the victim in the circumstance. I'm the same way. I could do it, but playing the victim in circumstances I create now doesn't benefit me at all. I would rather be honest, and just because that's my platform is based on is honesty and just being upfront with what is going on in my mind. That's why I just told you I've done the same thing. I know I've done that before. I was just like, I'm not the best narcissist guy. I don't do that stuff. No, yeah, I have. That's how I know what is going on. It's just the way it goes. I'm not trying to absolve myself of doing it. I'm just explaining to people why I do it. Some people will come on here and just like give excuses of why narcissistic people behave the way they do. I'm just giving reasons behind it. I'm not making this. Yeah. I'm like, this is the reason. Yeah, they had childhood trauma, but childhood trauma does not mean you get to treat somebody like crap.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I have childhood trauma. It doesn't mean that I get to like show up in the world and like be an asshole. It's like I have to deal with my shit, and I don't know. That was an issue that my ex and I went back and forth on a lot. Like, because he would always talk about my trauma because I was like open about it and like healing it and in therapy and all these things. And he would be like,
issue right there. You just gave him, you're the toxic person in the relationship. One of us is in therapy.
Yeah. He was like, I just shove the day we met, actually, he goes, I just shove everything down and eventually it goes away.
Oof.
And I remember there was a few drinks in and I was like, well, what? Yeah.
I bet he glad you were a few drinks in because
yeah.
He's like, I don't deal with my emotions. I just shove everything down.
I just shove everything down. Like, and it just goes away. And I'm like, what? And then like in the relationship, it's like, actually, no, it volcanoes out of you.
It goes away. And it's just like, dropping a Mentos into a Coca-Cola,
And it's like, well, you constantly have these explosions that you don't think are a problem. So.
Yeah. Now his problem, you got to deal with them. So they're your problem, see?
Yeah.
If you wasn't here, the yelling and screaming wouldn't affect you. You chose to be here. So it's your fault. So, yeah.
If I wasn't in this conversation, he would have never gotten angry.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did this. You set it off. You dropped you dropped the Mento into the Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So you were the catalyst here.
Right. Well, the question that I'll end on is that, like, in my experience, the new supply has not always been another person, but I know a lot of people think that it is. So is the new supply, in your perspective, always another person, or is it just another thing that's romanticized for them?
So typically you would say it's another person, but I was just like, so for me right now, if my wife were to leave, I wouldn't find anybody else right off. Could I? Yeah, probably. But like I said, I wouldn't find anybody right off. I would just focus on just building my stuff to target her. But that's how my mind works. But I don't know. That's a good question. I think I've ever asked that question before. But it could be the kids. It could be something like that. It could be something else that they get validation in some source of validation from. It doesn't necessarily have to be another man or a woman.
Okay.
It could be your children. It could be the job, the source, or something like that. It could be something that they ever, something that they get a massive supply from or whatever, massive validation from and things of that nature like that.
Yeah. So yeah, the day that like that same relationship ended, I remember like we talked like the next day and he was like, well, I've already lost like 3 pounds. And I'm like, we broke up yesterday. Like, like,
yeah, 3 pounds.
Yeah. He's like, and I'm like, all right, great. And then he's like, and then like the week after it was like, oh, I'm like, you definitely are putting all your mindset into fitness now. And you think it's my fault, like, yeah.
Breakers make bodybuilders. I hear this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Lee,
in the gym.
This was great. I've loved talking to you. I could have do this for another hour. I know people know how to reach you, but can you tell, and also, do you mind touching on the Zoom sessions? Because I only know that because I went on your website this week to like think about this podcast, but can you also talk about like the Zoom sessions that you offer as well as your social media channels?
So I do Zoom sessions. I do one-on-one Zooms to just give people perspectives on what the mind of a narcissist, how narcissistic people might react, or how you can prepare to deal with narcissists and things like that. Or people ask me like, does this sound narcissistic? Of course, I can't diagnose anybody, but I do give perspective on what could be going on in your relationship dynamic. Is this a toxic trait? Is this toxic behaviors and things like that? So I've been doing it for, like I said, it's been a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to so many people. Literally, it's crazy. But I have a lot of experience, so many different experiences now. And I just feel like I've talked to so many people. I can help a lot more people now because different people have brought me different scenarios and different experiences. And I do keep in contact with people on social media, email, and stuff like that after the session, just so I can see how things are going, just in case. I know one session might not be enough for people, it's just like, oh, well, session's over. Bye. Talk to you later. But like I said, like you can always stay in contact with me. So I'm all about trying to help more people. So I do that over Zoom, different times and things of that nature. But that's available over Zoom from my website, MentalHealness.net. But yeah, like I said, you can find me online in Mental Healness on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'm on Twitter a little bit more now, and also on Facebook now. So I'm a little bit everywhere.
Yeah, the same handle everywhere, right?
Yeah, same handle everywhere. Well, not on Instagram. Instagram has one additional S on it because there's a woman who claimed a name and she posts once every 6 months. And the name
won't give you the name.
The name is dear to her heart. And people be tagging her thinking it's me. And she'll tag me. Just give me the name. She's like, I think you meant to tag. Like she went to the point of putting like, this is not the Self Aware Narcissist in her bio. Just give.
Yeah. Let's just trade. Yeah.
Yeah. This is funny though. I just make a joke about it now. She'll tag me. She's like, I think you meant to tag this page. Yeah. But it's all good. It's dear to her heart. She can keep it. Like I said, she's okay with the tags and posting once or twice every 3-4 months. It's all good though. Yeah. Mental Healness everywhere, y'all. Thank y'all. Hope I brought you some perspective.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I know it's going to be helpful for so many people, and I'll put all your links in the show notes so people can easily find them.
Yay. I appreciate you.
All right. Well, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. You as well.
All right. Bye.
Bye.